Hello guys, welcome to another session here. In this case, we're going to try and keep it really short. And we're just going to cover the remaining topic that we had, which is future continuous. So in this case, this presentation should be for those people that still have a hard time understanding the topic, or you just want to review really quick, maybe for the exam or just to take better notes. Well, in this case, we're going to start with future continuous, or as some of you might know it, future progressive. All right, let's get started. So first we have to ask ourselves, what do we use it for? And that answer is, well, I want you guys to think about this. Think about present continuous, think about past continuous. Those are tenses that we already saw, right? Tenses that are some of the most basic ones that are seen in any English class. And when we talk about any continuous or progressive for that matter, we always talk about actions in progress, right? So now we just want to add the future aspect to it. So actions in progress in the future. That is what we use future continuous for. And we have more of a in-depth definition here. It says we use the future continuous for situations or actions that will be in progress at a certain time in the future. So we do not want to overlook that certain time in the future. Remember when we saw future perfect simple, we were also dealing with certain times in the future or a second future action. In the same way, we're going to deal with those in future continuous. We also need a second future action or a certain time in the future. Okay, do not forget that part. Here we have some examples to clarify or help us see how we can apply it a little bit more. So we have this first one. This time next week, we'll be traveling to Paris. So we got our certain time in the future, and we have our first example. We'll be traveling to Paris. Now we have another one that says tomorrow at 10, you'll be doing your exam. So we can see right there, you'll be doing your exam. Another example. When you get off the train, I'll be waiting on the platform. So here, this is not a certain time in particular. By that, I mean, we're not using a number per se, right? We actually have a subject and a verb with the you and get off, right? So this is kind of like what we saw with future perfect simple. We can use other actions in the future as something, as the second future action, I mean, right? So when you get off the train tomorrow, I'll be waiting on the platform. This is something that they're going to be doing while the other person does the first action in this case. The first action mentioned. And then we have our last one, which says, in 2 months' time, we'll be lying on the beach and drinking a mojito. So again, there you can see how we are using the structure. Now, you might be wondering why in the last one, we only have drinking. We don't have like a, where's the will be? Well, it's because the will be is the same one. Because we're using the same subject. It's the same idea, right? So that's why we do not need to add another subject. I mean, another auxiliary right there. We can just leave it with the verb with ing because it works with the same one. All right, let's move on to an explanation in case somebody still hasn't understood exactly, right? Exactly what we use it for. So we mentioned that this is similar to future perfect simple, but at the same time, it's not, because this, since it's continuous, it means that the action is in progress, as we can see right here. So imagine this. Imagine that you guys are going to study for 3 hours, right? 3 hours you're going to study. So you're going to start at 6 p.m. and then your mom is going to come home at 7 p.m. So if you're studying for 3 hours, that means that you're going to stop studying at 9, right? That's a really ugly 9. At 9. That's somewhat better. All right, so when your mom gets home, you should still be studying, right? So this is something that you're still going to be doing by that time because you're going to stop until 9. So now I want you to think, how can I join these two sentences together? And, well, the first one, this is the one that's in progress. So this is the one that I have to change to future continuous. So pause the video right now and try and change it in your head, or write it down. And now I'll show you the actual answer that we have. I mean, take into take into consideration that you can have many options. But the one we have is, I will be studying for my big test. Okay. We're making this same sentence into future continuous. And then we're making the other part of the sentence our time clause, when my mom gets home. See? So you guys can do it like that, or you can do it like this. When my mom gets home, I will be studying for my big test. You can also just start with the time clause. What we always need to remember is, depending on which one we start with, is the fact that we might need a comma. If we start with the time clause, you're going to need a comma. Okay? Do not forget that part. All right. Now we're going to move on to the structure. We're going to grab this example and we're going to mix our friend Midoriya here. He's back. So we always need our time clause when you get home. When you get home, Midoriya will be studying for his big test. There we can see the structure, right? So we got our subject, we have our will be, our verb with ing, and the complement. Now, for those of you that really like grammar like myself, the verb with ing, the proper name is the present participle tense. Okay, that's the name of the conjugation. I just say verb with ing to my students because I think that's a lot easier than for them to have to remember that particular name. Especially because we deal a lot with past participle. Okay, so yeah, verb with ing. And the way we make this negative is we just change the will into won'ts, right? The same way we do it with future perfect simple, we do it here. And that's the structure for negative. And now the hardest one of them all. How can we change this into a question? Think about it. And if your answer is, well, we just switch this to the beginning, that is correct. We just change the auxiliary to the beginning. And we're going to get our results with, will Midoriya be studying for his big test? That is the structure. Now, something that we cannot overlook is all of these sentences need the time clause, okay? We can't just say, will Midoriya be studying for his big test? We have to say, will Midoriya be studying for his big test when you get home? This is a tense like future perfect simple that needs the something else to work for it to make sense. Okay. And all right, let me erase this and we're good to go. Now this is the final slide. Hopefully there are no questions. If you do have questions, let me know in the classroom and I'll try and help you out as much as possible. So this is the same explanation as we had with future perfect simple. We have two parts of the sentence, the time clause, which is always in present tense, and then our future continuous clause, right? So two parts. Here are some examples of the time clauses. Here are some examples of future continuous. So notice how they work side by side. And now this, you can see more variety, right? In future perfect simple, we were using by the time. This time we're using when, we got this time, we got tomorrow. And on that note, I want to give you more vocabulary. This is in case somebody's finding a hard time just like remembering things or words to add. A lot of times we find ourselves like maybe struggling with adding variety to our writing. So here are some more options. We can say this time, and then this you can change for whatever you want. This time tomorrow, this time next Saturday, this time next week, this time next month, whatever you want to do. We can use at for hours, like specific hours, like at 9, at 11, at 12, doesn't matter. And if you want to add something to make it even more specific, you can. That would be after, like at 10 p.m. tomorrow night, you can do that. When we use in, we have to talk about periods of time that are not hours or days, okay? If they're not specific days or specific hours, we can use in. In this case, we have in 2 weeks, in 7 months, in 5 years we have there, it does not matter. I did mention that we do not use in for specific days. So if I have Friday, let's say I have Friday right here, Friday. What am I gonna use with Friday? So with Friday, I can use in, but I can use on, okay? So on is used for specific days. On is the one that we use, okay? And we have when at the end. And that is the end of the presentation. Just more vocabulary so you guys can add variety to your sentences, and you don't have to stick with just using by the time every single time you make a sentence, right? But okay. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, well, hopefully this was helpful and it helped clarify any remaining doubts. But I'll see you guys. Take care and have a wonderful day.